In this video, we're going to look at the CSEC Math June 2018 Paper 2. So here we have our first question where we have question 1A. Using a calculator or otherwise, evaluate each of the following, giving your answers to 2 decimal places. Now to say use your calculator or otherwise. So with these decimals here, I would use my calculator. But this will be BODMAS because we have a subtraction, we have multiplication, and we know we have to work out multiplication first before we do the subtraction. So what this would look like would be this 73.18 take away, and I'll put in brackets the 5.23 multiply 9.34, because we know we have to work out this first, get the answer, and then say this take away whatever answer we get here. All right, so here we have the calculator up. So we're going to put 5.23 multiplied by 9.34 press equal. Now we're going to 2 decimal places. So what I'll do for the answers here is approximate them to 3 decimal places. And then the final answer, we'll do the 2 decimal places. So I have 48.84. I'll go to this 8. After this 8 is a 2. So I put in the 48.848. So I'll come here and put 73.18 take away 48.848. And now I can subtract these 2. So I'll put the 73.18 take away the 48.848. And this answer, I'll write this to 2 decimal places. So I get 24.33 after the 2. So this 3 remains the same, so 24.33. So my answer would be equal to 24.33. Now let's look at something. The calculator is actually smart enough to do BODMAS on its own. So if you were to type this in exactly as it is, you would get this answer. So let's see. So if I were to type in 73.18 take away 5.23 multiply by 9.34 and press equal, you see I get 24.3318, and the 2 decimal places, that's just 24.33. After the 3's are 1, so the 3 remain the same. So okay, same answer to 2 decimal places. So here we have part 2, which is another BODMAS question. So you understand when we have something over something, we need to work out the numerator first, and if there's something to work out the denominator, we work that out, and then we divide them before we could proceed, right? So we have nothing to work out the denominator, but we have this 3.1 squared. And you know with BODMAS, the B is for brackets, the O is for power of, and then you have the multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction. So basically powers come first before the 4 operations. So anyway you take it, you work out powers first, then do the 4 operations. So we work out first 3.1 squared first. All right, so we have 3.1, press the x squared button to square it. And we would get 9.61. So we have 9.61 divided by 6.17 plus 1.12. Now, as I said, we have to work out this division here first before we could add this 1.12. And again, multiplication and division comes before addition and subtraction. So whenever you're working out stuff, you know, you do your multiplication and your division first, then you do your addition and subtraction. That's how BODMAS works. Of course, brackets first, then powers, then the multiplication and division, then addition and subtraction. So we're going to put that 9.61 divided by 6.17, press equal, and we would get, now writing this to 2 decimal places, so we want to write this to 3 decimal places, and then the final answer 2 decimal places. So it's 1.557, after 7 is a 5, so this would be 1.558. So I'm going to have 1.558 plus 1.12. So imply. So now I'm going to say 1.558 plus 1.12 and press equal. We're going to get 2.678. So to 2 decimal places, that's 2.67. Then after 7 is a 8. So the sum goes up by 1 and turns to 2.68. So this would imply my answer is 2.68. So that's right. An answer is equal to 2.68. So now part B of this question, we have Jenny works at Sammy's restaurant and is paid according to the rates in the following table. So we have Jenny's weekly wage agreement here. So she has a basic wage of $600. So she gets $600 no matter what once she shows up for the week. And then she gets 90 cents for each customer served. So we have a formula here. So in a week, Jenny serves N customers. So N is the number of customers. Her weekly wage is WJ. So WJ is Jenny's weekly wage in dollars and it's given by this formula. So we see the $600, which is constant because no matter how much customers she serves, she will always get the $600 a week. Now, this is the 90 cents per customer. So 90 cents multiplied by the number of customers will give her this extra money. So now determine Jenny's weekly wage if she served 230 customers. So now remember, N is the number of customers and this is the formula for Jenny's weekly wage. So all we have to do is replace this N with 230. So we put WJ for Jenny's weekly wage is 600 plus 0.90 times, I'll just put in brackets, 230 customers, right? So again, we know we have to work out multiplication before we can do the addition. So you can multiply 90 cents or 0.9 by 230, get an answer and add it to 600. So WJ, Jenny's weekly wage is equal to 600 plus. So we'll have 0.9 multiplied by 230 and we get 207. So that'll be 207. And of course, if we add 600 to 207, we simply get 807. Now this is in dollars. So I'll just write that over the dollar sign. All right, so dollars 807.00. So here for part 2 of this question, we have in a good week, Jenny's wage is $1,000 or more. What is the least number of customers that Jenny must serve in order to have a good week? Now, let's examine the formula again for Jenny's weekly wage. All right, so Jenny's weekly wage was she gets $600 no matter what, and then 90 cents per customer. So what we want is that this 600 plus 90 cents per customer must be greater than or equal to 1,000, because that's what 1,000 or more means. So now what we'll do is put this 600 plus 0.90 times N must be greater than or equal to 1,000. All right, because this is her weekly wage, and we're saying that the weekly wage, in order for her to have a good week, must be $1,000 or more. So 1,000 or more. So now we're going to find the least number of customers that Jenny must serve in order to have a good week, which is you're going to find the value of N for when this whole thing is greater than or equal to 1,000. So a simple equation to solve, we put the 0.90N greater than or equal to 1,000. And of course, we're going to transfer this positive 600 across the inequality sign, and the sign in front of it is positive. Now let's just do an animation for that. All right, so I have back the same line as I have on top here. So what we're going to do is take this positive 600 and we transfer it across the inequality sign. As we transfer it across, it's going to turn from positive to negative. And now it comes on this side here. So you have 1,000 take away 600. Now, because the 0.9 has nothing here, we don't need to write the positive sign in front of it. So that's how we end up with 0.90N is greater than or equal to 1,000 take away 600, which is 400. So we're going to get 0.90N is greater than or equal to 400. So now the operation between 0.9, because this is 0.9, and N is multiplication. So when we transfer this 0.9 across the inequality sign, the operation is going to change to the opposite of multiplication, which is division. All right, so let's root back the line exactly like how I have it here, because I'm going to do some animation here. So when this moves or is transferred across, the operation is changed from multiplication to division, so it'll go under the 400. So you get 400 divided by 0.90. So now we have n is greater than or equal to, and of course we'll take the calculator and say it's 400 divided by 0.9, because 0.90 is just 0.9, and that is equal to 444.4. So I write that down. Well, the 4 is reoccurring, right? 44444. So that's 444.4 reoccurring. Now, listen to what I say. Well, we can't have a fraction of a customer. So we want the least number of customers for Jenny to have a good week. So if we have 444 customers, we'll end up with less than $1,000. 444.4 would give us the $1,000. So therefore, the least number of customers to make 1,000 or more has to be 445 customers. So now I'll put the least number of customers for Jenny to have a good week is 445 customers. So here we have for part 3 that at the same restaurant, Shauna is paid a weekly wage of $270. So no matter how much customers she serves, she's always going to get $270 plus $1.50 for each customer she serves. So W, the small s, going to be representative of Shauna's weekly wage. All right, so they want us to write a formula calculating Shauna's weekly wage. Now that's easy to do if you just look back at what we did for Jenny. All right, so let's look back here. Jenny's weekly wage. She earns $600 no matter how much customers she served. That's why you have 600 here. Plus 90 cents for each customer, and N was the number of customers. So 90 cents times the number of customers. So now if you look at Shauna, we just follow the same pattern. All right, so she earns $270 no matter how much customers she serves. So WS is $270 so far, plus, all right, $1.50 for each customer. So if N, well, hold on. We say that the number of customers she serves, calculating Shauna's weekly wage when she serves M customers. So for Shauna, the number of customers is M and not N. All right. So that'll be M, the number of customers, times the amount of money she gets per customer. So that's $1.50 times M, or 1.5 times M. I'll put it the same way they have it, because for Jenny was 90 cents. And I put 0.90. So for here, we'll put the $1.50 like this times M. And this will be a formula for Shauna's weekly wage. Now here we have in a certain week, Jenny and Shauna received the same wage for serving the same number of customers. How many customers did they each serve? Now listen to this. Remember, Jenny was N, the number of customers was N, and Shauna, the number of customers is M. But if they serve the same number of customers, then N is equal to M. I was going to put serving the same number of customers, all right, would imply that M is equal to N. All right, so we could use the symbol M. In this case, for this question, we could use M or N, all right, because the same number of customers. Now, they're saying that Jenny and Shauna received the same wage. So what that means is the weekly wage for Jenny is equal to the same weekly wage for Shauna. Now remember, Jenny was 600 plus the 90 cents times N. And we have for Shauna is 270 plus the $1.50 times M. And we're saying that since the number of customers are the same, then this M is equal to this N. So you can use any symbol you want. If you want to replace this M with the N or this N with the M, it's all good. So what I'll do is just stick to the N and replace the M here with N. So we have 600 plus 0.90 N is equal to 270 plus $1.50 times N, because both of them serving the same number of customers. So N is the number of customers. So now this is just a simple equation to solve to find the value of N, which is how many customers did they each serve. So I'm just going to write over this line on top here. So we have 600 plus 90 cents times N is equal to 270 plus 150 times n. So now what we want to do is bring the terms with n together, that's these two, the 150n and the 0.90n, and then these constants, the 600 and the 270 together on one side of the equal sign. So on one side, we're going to have the terms with n, and the other side of the equal sign, we're going to have the constant 600 and 270. So if you want, you could leave this 0.9 here with the n and bring this 150 across. So we're going to transfer this positive 150n across, and as we're going across the equal sign, the opposite of addition is subtraction. So this addition sign will turn to a subtraction sign. And now we can put it anywhere we want. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just move this back a bit. I'll move the equal sign here. And let's shift these up a little bit here. And I'll bring this right here. So now I have the ends together like that. Now, what I want to do now is bring this 600, transfer it across the equal sign to bring it by this 270. So when I take this is positive 600, it's coming across, and as it crosses the equal sign, it becomes negative 600, opposite of addition. So now I just have to make some space for this. So bring this across. And we have the negative 600 here. Now, because there's nothing in front of the 0.9, I remove the positive sign because it's understood to be there. So now we have to work out 0.9 take away 1.5. So we can work that on the calculator. So I'll have 0.9 take away 1.5, which is $1.50, and we get negative 0.6. So I'm coming here and writing negative 0.6n, and of course we're going to take away 270 from 600. So now we're going to get 270 take away 600, and that will be equal to negative 330. So that's negative 330. So now what we have to do is take this negative 0.6 and transfer it across the equal sign. And the operation between the negative 0.6 and the n is multiplication. So when you transfer it across, the operation will change to division. So what we have is n is equal to negative 330 divided by negative 0.6. Of course, you're dividing two negatives, you're going to get positive. So we're going to calculate and work it out. So n is equal to, we'll have the negative, so I'll put in negative 330 divided by negative 0.6, and we get 550. All right, so that's 550 customers. All right, so let's put they must each serve 550 customers. Now, moving on to question 2, we have factorized completely each of the following expressions. So we have, first one, we have this. We look at it carefully, we have 1 take away 4h squared. Now, factorization, we're looking to see if there's anything common between the two terms, and I have nothing common between the two terms. So what do? Well, I recognize that this 1 is 1 squared and this 4 is 2 squared. So watch this. This 1 could be represented as 1 squared, and the 4 could be represented as 2 squared. I put back the h squared. So this would mean 1 squared take away 2h in brackets squared. So what we have here is the difference are two square numbers, right? Because h is a symbol to represent some number that we don't know, right? So it's a square number. All right, so this will be difference of two squares. And if you remember our difference of two squares formula, when you're factorizing, you know, one bracket is plus, one bracket is negative. I'm using 1 and 2h. So we have 1 plus 2h and 1 take away 2h. And that's the answer. All right, so moving on to part 2 of this question now, we have pq, then take away q squared, then take away 3p plus 3q. Now, if you look at all four terms, the terms are separated by plus or minus signs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 terms. Is there anything common between all four? I'm looking here, q, no q, p, no p. All right, 3, 3, no 3s here. So nothing common between all four. So this would be a factorization by grouping. So what I'll do is, I'll look at the first two terms. All right. And I'll say what's common between these two. And of course, that'll be q, right? So q is my highest common factor. Open brackets. Divide pq by q, so the q's will cancel. and p remains, and divide q squared with q. And of course, I'll get q to the power 1 here when I divide those two. So that's just q. Then I'll look at the next two terms. So that'll be negative 3p with positive 3q. Now, because my first term in my factorization here with these two is a negative number, I will put my HCF, my highest common factor, as negative. All right, so looking what's common between these two. And that'll be 3. Okay, so in 3 here, come on. So 3, open brackets, divide negative 3p by negative 3, and we get positive p. Divide positive 3q by negative 3. So you divide a positive and a negative, you're going to get a negative answer. 3 cancel 3 and remove q. So now you're seeing that your two brackets are the same. That must always happen for factorization by grouping. So now you take what's outside, the q and the negative 3, and put that in brackets. So we have q, take away 3, and then take the p, take away q, and put that in brackets. And that's the answer. So now we have for part B, we have solved each of the following equations. So we have an equation here. So we have 3 over 2y is equal to 12. Now I can do this in several ways. We could cross multiply. We could divide both sides by 3 over 2. So however I want to do it. Okay. But if you cross multiply, recognize that this 3 over 2y means 3 over 2 multiplied by y over 1. That's what it means, right? Is equal to 12. And if you multiply across, you get 3 by y is 3y, and 2 by 1 is 2. Now we can put 12 over 1. All right, and then we can cross multiply. So 3y by 1 is just 3y. And then the 2 by 12 is 24. So now we transfer the 3 across the equal sign. The operation between 3 and y is multiplication. So when we transfer it across, the operation changes to division. So we're going to get y is equal to 24 divided by 3. And of course, 24 divided by 3 is 8. All right, so next up, we have this quadratic equation. So the easiest thing to do here is use the quadratic formula because it is on the formula sheet. So let's use it. Easy. I mean, you could factorize and solve it, but that's easier to just use the quadratic formula. So you know the number in front of x squared is a. So a is equal to 2. The number in front of x is b. So b is equal to 5. And the constant here is negative 3, so that'll be c. So c is equal to negative 3. All right, so you know the formula is x would be equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, and I set it on the formula sheet. Take away 4ac all over 2a. So I'm going to replace the b with 5, so negative, and b is 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, and again b is 5. Take away 4 times a, and a is 2, times c, and c is negative 3. All over 2 times a, and a again is 2. So now, of course, negative by 5 is negative 5. So we get negative 5 here, plus or minus square root of. And what I like to do is just work this whole thing out, but I'll do it in parts. 5 squared is 25. And then you're going to multiply this negative 4 by 2 by negative 3. So if you're not comfortable with that, you can do it on the calculator. All right, so you can multiply negative 4. So watch, negative 4 multiplied by 2. All right, multiply by negative 3. Press equal, and you see a positive 24. So what I'm going to do here is write positive 24 over 2 by 2, which is 4. Now, 25 plus 24 is 49. All right, so we're going to get x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 4. So this would be x is equal to the square root of 49, 7. So 5 plus or minus 7 over 4. So now this is how we're going to get our two answers. So we're going to have either x is equal to negative 5 plus 7 over 4, or we're going to have x is equal to negative 5 take away 7 over 4. I'll put two answers here. So I'm going to put either. All right, x is equal to negative 5 plus 7 over 4. And negative 5 plus 7 is positive 2. So that's positive 2 over 4, which is a half. Or we're going to have x is equal to negative 5 take away 7 over 4. All right, so that's why I use the plus or minus, right? One is plus, and then the other one is negative. Okay, so here you have to add and keep the negative signs, and I'll get negative 12. So negative 12 over 4. And of course, negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. And those are your answers, right? So answer x is equal to a half, or x is equal to negative 3. All right, so moving on to part C, we have the quantities F, M, U, V, and T are related according to the formula of this. So you say find the value of F, which is here. So F is already subject to the formula. And they give you values for M, U, V, and T. So you're just going to put those values into the formula. So this is a substitution. So we're going to put F is equal to, and I'm going to write over the formula. So we have M first. M is 3. Open brackets. Then you have V. What is V? V is 2. Then we have take away U. And what is U? U is negative 1. So we have take away from the formula. And then U itself is negative 1. All right. Then we're going to divide by T. And T is 1. Now, BODMAS, we have brackets first, right? So here we have the brackets. So we have to multiply these two negative signs first. You get positive signs. So F is equal to 3, open brackets 2. Multiply these two, get positive signs. So 2 plus 1 over 1. Now, brackets first. So add the 2 and the 1 and get 3. So 3 by 3. Right? Because 2 plus 1 is 3 over 1. And 3 by 3, that would mean, right? Brackets mean multiply. So multiplying this by what this M here, multiplying this M by what's in the brackets. And what's in the brackets works out to be 3. So 3 by 3, 9 over 1. And of course, 9 over 1 is just 9. So now for part 2, they want us to make V the subject of the formula. Now, right now, F is the subject of the formula because F is by itself on one side of the equal sign. So the equal sign are two sides, right? This is the left-hand side and this is the right-hand side. It doesn't matter which side something on. Once it's by itself, it's the subject of the formula. So I'm going to write over the formula. F is equal to M, open brackets, V take away U, over T. And the method I'll use here is cross multiplication because we want, let me shade what we want. All right, we want to make this V the subject of the formula. So this is what we're looking for, this V. So what I'll do is I'll cross multiply. So I'll put the F over 1 and put the M times the V take away U over T. Now, as easy a method, if you could see it, is to multiply both sides by T. So F by T is FT. And when I multiply this side by T, the T's will cancel and I just get this M times V take away U. That's the same thing I'm going to get here when I cross multiply anyway. But it will be shorter to just multiply both sides by T rather than cross multiplying. All right, so F by T, as I said, will be FT. And this 1 times M times V take away U. Now, 1 times anything will just get back the same thing. So let's get back M times V take away U. All right. Now, what I'll have to do is, well, there are two ways you could do this. We could expand, all right? Or I could simply say, you know what? This M is being multiplied by this. So if I move this or transfer this M across on this side, the operation will change from multiplication to division. So it'll be FT divided by M. So what I'm going to get is FT divided by M is equal to V take away U. So as I see, this M, this brackets here means M is multiplying by the thing in brackets. So I transfer it across, the opposite of multiplication is division. So it will be this divided by the M. All right, so we have this. So now we have the V take away U. Now remember, it's the V that we want. Okay, we want this V. So what we had to do, we had to transfer this negative U across the equal sign. And of course, the sign in front of it is negative. So when we transfer it across, the sign in front of it will change to positive. So what I'm going to get is ft over m. I'll just write it out like this again. So what we'll do, we'll take this negative u, and as we translate across the equal sign, as it crosses, the sign will change from negative to positive. And what I'll do, I'll move this ft over m back here and put the positive u right here. And this would be your answer. V is now the subject of the formula, so you have transpose for V or make V the subject of the formula. Now, you'll get full marks writing it like this, but if you want, I'll just put this in red. You can write it the other way around, where you put the V first, and then you put the Ft over M plus U. And that would be it for this video. Now, I would do the rest of questions, so look out for the other videos. I'll do them 2 questions at a time. So next video will be questions 3 and question 4.